This video contains harsh language, specifically English. Warning: the following video contains opinions, and they could even be contrary to yours. Please remember that even in the heat of the moment, it's about opinion. If you watch the whole video and you still don't agree with me, well, feel free to sound off in the comments, just don't be a dick about it. Opinionated mates.
If you recall back to when Dead or Alive 5 was announced, there was this furore. Furore? There was this absolute fucking furore over Dead or Alive 5 and its plans to do away with boobs with feet designs and go for a grittier reboot with a darker atmosphere and a chilling Neo-Doatex storyline. I wrote an article about it back in 2011 for that website, where I explained it in a manner that I still agree with to this day. A gritty Dead or Alive with a more realistic style would be fucking cool, and more like the first one. However, in the following August, Tecmo revealed that in fact they hadn't turned over a new leaf, and instead released a bunch of screenshots of the female characters in scant outfits, including bikinis, swimwear, and even a bunny costume. Of course, in the article I wrote back then, I admitted much of what I still do now. It's what a core component of the Dead or Alive audience wanted, and Tecmo, being the shrewd businessmen they are, made the right decision. After milking the game over the past decade with overpriced DLC and kicking up a fuss over nude mods, as I explained way back in Opinionated Mate Episode 1, Team Ninja's Double Standards, it now seems that Tecmo has once again decided to give Dead or Alive a gritty reboot. Well, please forgive me if I don't believe you, Team Ninja, but your track record says otherwise. The new trailer for Doa 6 features lens distortion, blood effects, and the ladies covered up with their breasties taped down and jiggle-free. Much like Dead or Alive 5's first trailers did. Of course, the almost radical anti-censorship side of the argument is they're taking our porn away, and it's all SJW's fault. I understand that Dead or Alive 6 has taken its influence from modern American media such as video games, movies, and comics, which have been infiltrated by representation-obsessed, sex-negative, as the alt-right would say, feminazis. But Dead or Alive always took its influence from American media. In the last 10 years, American media has changed, and Dead or Alive is only copying from the West as they normally do. The only difference is since the assassination of gamers caused by websites like the very one I used to fucking write for, American culture is now seeping with toxic filth while it demands everyone label everything but itself toxic. While a gritty, camera-shaky, hyper-realistic Dead or Alive tickles my pleasure receptors, the switcheroo with Doa is at least in passing the result of changes to American media. But with Doa having, over the course of 5 games, formed its own distinct style and feel, it's going to be very hard to convince fans who are already on edge because of the very real attacks they receive for not liking political or ideological bias shoved in their face. It's going to be very hard to convince people that changing up Doa's style is anything other than pandering to another audience, those of whom wouldn't be likely to purchase the game anyway. You can argue terms like man-baby and sexist, racist, misogynist until the cows fucking come home. But you can't change the fact that the media influenced by this current trend in America is failing. Solo, a Star Wars story, $250 million cost, failing at the box office. Ghostbusters reboot, $70 million loss. Comic books with agenda-driven characters and plots sometimes don't even reach issue 3 before getting canned. And games praised by critics like Sword Brothers, Swords and Sorcery EP, after being praised by notorious video game despising critic Anita Snarkeesian, saw absolutely no spike in sales or success following. If Team Ninja and Tecmo want to lose money, it's on them. It's obvious now that Dead or Alive's biggest audience is men who love to see ladies beat each other up while wearing limited clothing. Appealing to the game critics and esports is one thing, but ignoring your core audience, the people who make you money, is the key to failure. Protect your bottom line. Team Ninja, a company who would not even exist today if it wasn't for Dead or Alive fans, now relies on Omega Force partnerships and their Dark Souls ripoff Neo. If you take away DOA, what have they got? Well then, I shall ask you again. Is a gritty, realistic, and non-sexualized Dead or Alive a good idea? Maybe not in a financial sense, but at least I wouldn't get embarrassed walking it up to the counter at game. But that's just my opinion. What's yours?